Welcome to my video lecture based on utilization of electric power. Paper code EE702. This paper is based on markout curriculum and the total syllabus content is also following the markout syllabus content of utilization of electric power. This lecture is continuation of my previous lecture. In my previous lecture, I have discussed about few sources of light of illumination. That there are various sources of lights are there which are used for illuminating a particular area. Like sodium vapor lamp, it can be filament tungsten filament lamp, incandescent lamp, or it may be fluorescent lamp like a normal tube light. So apart from those lamps which we have discussed in my previous lecture, now I will continue with the same topic, that is sources of light. And here we will continue with new sources of light like mercury vapor lamp or high pressure mercury vapor lamp, like that. So these two lectures will basically cover the different sources of light which are used for illuminating different areas. Myself, Rumrun Banerjee, Assistant Professor of Electrical Engineering Department, Dr. Sudhir Chandra Sur Institute of Technology and Sports Complex. Previously it was known as Dr. Sudhir Chandra Sur Degree Engineering College, and this institute is under JIS code. So here we will continue with sources of light part 2. So let us consider the first source of light apart from previous ones, that is sodium vapor discharge lamp. Definitely this line indicates that sodium vapor, definitely the vapor will be created because of sodium, and due to that vapor discharge of sodium, it creates a huge amount of light which will use for illumination purpose. So principally the sodium vapor discharge lamp consists of a bulb containing a small amount of metallic sodium neon gas. That means we need a small amount of metallic sodium and neon gas inside a bulb, and two sets of electrodes connected to a pin type base. The presence of neon gas serves to start the discharge and to develop enough heat to vaporize the sodium. That means the neon gas will actually help to start the discharge and enough vapor from the sodium. That means it acts like the catalyst for creating much vaporized sodium. Since long discharge paths are necessary, therefore the discharge envelope is usually bent into U shape. The lamp operates at temperature of 300 degrees centigrade, and in order to conserve the heat generated and assure the lamp operating at normal air temperatures, the discharge envelope is enclosed in a special vacuum envelope designed for this purpose. The lamp must be operated horizontally or nearly so to keep the sodium well spread out along the tube. Although some small lamps may be operated vertically, lamp cap up, care should be taken in handling this lamp, and particularly when replacing inner U tube. For if it is broken and sodium comes in contact with moisture, a fire will result. So definitely at the time of replacing the bulb, we have to remember that the sodium can create fire when it's come in contact with moisture of the air. So we have to be very cautious at the time of installing sodium vapor lamp and also at the time of replacing the sodium vapor lamp. The sodium vapor lamp is only suitable for alternating current and therefore requires choke control. This requirement is made by operating the lamp from a step-filled, step-up tapped autotransformer with an open circuit secondary voltage of 470 to 480 volts. That means for operating the sodium vapor lamp, definitely we need AC voltage and also a autotransformer with open secondary voltage of 470 to 480 volt is required. That means the basic requirement for the sodium vapor lamp is a autotransformer where secondary side is open and it will create 470 to 480 amount of volt. The unconnected power factor is very low, about 0.3, and the capacitor must be used to improve the power factor about 0.8. That means if we don't use any power factor correction method like capacitor, then the power factor is very low for the sodium vapor lamp. It is nearly about 0.3. So generally we use capacitor to improve the power factor of sodium vapor lamp. Now when the lamp is in operation, the sodium is usually in the form of solid deposited on the side walls of the tube. Therefore, at first when it is connected across the supply mains, the discharge takes place in the neon gas and gives red-orange glow. Okay, that means we have to remember that when the lamp is not in operation, sodium usually in the form of deposited in the wall of the tube, and therefore when it is first connected across the supply mains, the discharge takes place in the neon gas and gives a red-orange glow. Okay. The metallic sodium gradually vaporizes and then ionizes, and thereby producing the characteristics monochromatic yellow light. We know the sodium has the monochromatic yellow light can be created by using sodium with heated sodium actually. So definitely when the sodium gets very much heated, first it will glow with red orange, and then after it reaching its maximum heating point, it vaporizes and creates a monochromatic light which is yellow light, okay, which makes objects appear as grey. The lamp will come up to its rated light output approximately 15 minutes. It will restart immediately should the power supply be momentarily interrupted. Since the presence of vapor is quite low, the voltage is sufficient to restart the arc. This is the diagram for sodium vapor lamp. This one, it is looking like a tube structure. You can see this is looking like a cylindrical tube, and here this is the capacitor part, and this is the this is the transformer part, and this one is the capacitor part. Definitely this capacitor is used for improving the power factor, and this is the transformer, and this is the sodium vapor lamp. It is connected, and this is the AC supply. Okay, so this AC supply comes to the transformer by means of a capacitor and choke, and then transformer secondary side creates 470 to 480 volts, and that will directly goes to vacuum tube of discharge U-shaped tube of sodium vapor lamp. The efficiency of sodium vapor lamp under practical consideration is about 40 to 50 lumens per watt. The major application of this lamp is highway and general outdoor lighting where color discrimination is not required, such as street lighting, parks, rail yards, storage yards, etc. Such lamps are manufactured in 45, 60, 85 and 140 watts rating. The average life is about 3000 hours and is not affected by voltage variation. At the end of this period, light output will be reduced by 15% due to aging. The lamp fails to operate when the filament breaks or burn out. Secondly, the cathode stops to emit electrons. And thirdly, the sodium particles may concentrate on the one side of the tube. So definitely, the sodium vapor lamp is monochromatic yellow color. So definitely where the particular color change is not effective, only the visualization is the main important thing. There we can use sodium vapor lamps like street lighting. It can be railway yards. Definitely in the street, definitely the color does not matter. Lighting is the main concern, and sodium vapor lamp can create a very good amount of lumens, so it can be illuminate a larger area. So definitely we can use sodium vapor lamps for street lighting and railway yards, or it can be lighted in like storage yards or parks. These things can be lighted by using sodium vapor lamps. Now next part is high pressure mercury vapor lamp. Previously it was sodium and now our material is mercury. The extensive use of mercury vapor distilled lamp depends entirely upon the versatility of the mercury vapor as regards pressure and temperature, voltage and other characteristics, each changing, resulting lamp of different spectral quality and efficiency. The mercury vapor distilled lamp is similar in construction to the sodium vapor distilled lamp. It consists of a discharge envelope enclosed in an outer bulb or ordinary glass. The discharge envelope may be of hard glass or quartz. The space between the bulb is partially or completely evacuated to prevent the heat loss by convection from the inner bulb. The outer bulb absorbs the harmful ultraviolet rays. The inner bulb contains argon and certain quantity of mercury. In addition to main electrode, a starting electrode is connected through a high resistance is also provided. The main electrodes are made of tungsten wire in shape of the helix. In this case, no separate heater is required for cathode, which is heated by constant bombardment of the heavy mercury ions. Okay, so the lamp has to have auxiliary equipment for use with standard mains voltage, and the necessary corrections are shown in the figure. This is the mercury vapor lamp, and this is the main electrode, this one, and this is the auxiliary electrode, and this main electrode is connected with the main supply via a choke. Okay. The choke is provided here to limit the current of a safe value. This choke lowers the power factor, so a capacitor is connected across the circuit to improve the power factor. So definitely you have to remember that this choke is provided to limit the current to a safe value, and the choke lowers the power factor. So a capacitor is connected across the circuit to improve the power factor, and this lamp must be operated vertically, since if they are used horizontally, convection will cause the discharge to touch the glass bulb, which will fade. The lamps which are intended to operate horizontally are fitted with magnetic device which will hold the luminous column central. Complete wiring diagram is shown here. When the supply is switched on, full main voltage is applied between the auxiliary electrode and neighboring main electrode. This is the main electrode, and this one is the auxiliary electrode, and here the supply is given. This breaks down the gap and discharge to the argon gas takes place. This enables the main discharge to commence. As the lamps warm up, the mercury is vaporized, increase the vapor pressure, and luminous column becomes brighter and narrower. The lamps require 4 to 5 minutes to attain the full brilliancy if the supply is interrupted. The lamp must cool down and the vapor pressure be reduced before it will start. This takes 3 to 4 minutes. The temperature of operation inside the inner bulb is 600 degrees centigrade. It gives a greenish blue color light which causes color distortion. The efficiency is about 30 to 40 lumens per watt. These lamps are manufactured in 250 and 400 watt ratings for use on 200 to 250 volts AC supply mains. The pressure of vapor in these lamps is 2 to 3 atmosphere. Lamps of this type are used for general industrial lighting, railway yards, ports, work area, shopping center, etc., where greenish blue color light is not objectionable. The same thing. Previously it was sodium vapor lamp and the color of this lamp is yellowish and this one is greenish. So definitely these two lamps can be used for larger area illumination purpose, but the problem, it can create the color distortion as the original light sources depends on some different color. So definitely these lights will be used for the purpose where the color distortion doesn't matter, like street lighting, railway yards, parks. Here we can use high pressure mercury vapor lamp. Now we will take some problem related to illumination. Let us consider our first problem, that is two 220 volt lamps, one of 60 watt and the other of 75 watt are connected in series across a 440 volt supply. Calculate the PD across each lamp, neglecting any variation in resistance, assuming the candle power to the proportional to the fourth power of the voltage. Calculate the candle power of each lamp under this condition as a percentage of its value under normal operation at 220 volt. So let us solve this problem. So here the solution is the resistance of 60 watt 220 volts lamp that we can easily calculate from V square divided by W equals to R1, that is P equals to V square by R, the formula of power. So from there we can easily calculate the resistance of 60 watt lamp. Similarly we can calculate the resistance of 70 watt lamp, that is V square by W2, that is 220 whole square divided by 75, and the resistances we have calculated here. Now current flowing through this lamp when connected in series, that is across 440 volt supply, so it will be definitely V divided by the total resistance, V divided by R, so we will get the current also. Now definitely the potential difference across 60 watt lamp, definitely it will be as per Ohm's law, V equals to IR. So it will be I into R1, the resistance we have calculated, and the potential difference across 72 watt, that will be this one. In that way we can calculate the potential difference across the both lamps. Now the candle power of 60 watt lamp under this condition, it will be V1 by V whole to the power 4 into normal candle power, that is 245 divided by 220 whole to the power 4 into 100% of candle power under normal operating voltage 220. So we are getting that 154% of candle power under normal operating condition at 220 volt. And similarly we can calculate it for other lamp also, that is it will be V2 by 220, that is 195 by 220 whole to the power 4 into 100% of candle power under normal operating condition of 220. So in that way we are getting the 62% of candle power under normal operating condition at 220 volts. Now our next problem that we are considering here, a 110 volt lamp develops 16 CP and lamp of the same material and working at same efficiency develops 25 CP on 220 volt. Compare the diameter and the length of the filament. So solution, it will be, as the efficiency is same, the operating temperature must be there same. Let D1 and D2 is the diameter of the filaments and L1, L2 are respective lengths and I1, I2 the respective currents. So these three things we have considered. One is diameter, another one is length, another one is current. So assuming that the power intake of these two lamps are proportional to their outputs, it will be 16 proportional to 110 I1 and 25 proportional to 220 I2. So taking the ratio, we are getting I1 by I2 equals to 32 by 25. Since the material and operating temperatures are same, so it will be D1 by D2 equals to I1 by I2 whole to the power 2 by 3, and we are getting the ratio of the diameter. Since the output is directly proportional to L1 into D1, so it will be ultimately 16 by 25 equals to L1 D1 divided by L2 D2, and from that way we can calculate the ratio of L1 with L2, that is 0.543. So this is another problem, and this one is the last problem I have considered here for your understanding purpose. A 60 CP 250 volt metal filament lamp has measured under candle power of 71.5 CP at 260 volts and 50 CP at 240 volts. A. Find the constant for the lamp in expression of C equals to A to the power VB, where C is candle power and V is the voltage. B. Calculate the change of candle power per volt at 250 volt. Determine the percentage variation of candle power due to a voltage variation of 4% for the normal value. Solution. Substituting C equals to 71.5 CP when V is 260 volts and C equals to 50 CP when V equals to 240 volts, and expression here is given, that is C equals to A into V to the power B. So we are getting two equations with the given values, that is 71.5 equals to A into 260 to the power B and B 50 equals to A into 240 to the power B. Now dividing these both equations, we are getting B equals to 4.5. Okay. So this is a simple problem, but the problem description is complex, but the actual solution is very simple. So this kind of problems can become related to illumination, and we will discuss much more about illumination of electric sources and in my next lecture. So thank you all for listening my lecture related to utilization of electric power, and these lectures are generally taken from the book of Juhi Gupta of utilization of electric power. You can follow other books also, and definitely I will prefer you can follow this book and you can get acquainted with different problems and solve those problems for your betterment. Thank you.